but you're right. But the main thing is we must stay stout-hearted, optimistic, and forging ever forward, because we will win this, because we are right. But we can never assume that being right is good enough to win.
Right.
Because I mean, one great advantage that the right wing has is that they know that their policy is all about helping the 1%. So they don't have any illusion. They know they got to deceive, they got to divide, they got to suppress. They know they have to do this, and they assume it, where we think we're right, so all we got to do is say what's right, and that's going to win the day.
Well,
no, it's not. We got to work
I'll tell
hard.
you one other problem, and why they're able to promote their lies, their propaganda, because they own the media.
Well,
look, I'm doing this radio show.
But they don't own you.
No, but
you're killing it.
Can I tell you something? I'm online. I'm online only because we've been kicked off the public airwaves. There's maybe a handful of progressive voices left on the public airwaves. And look, to all deference to President Clinton, he really screwed up on this one with the Telecommunications Act, because I've been in radio. This is my career. I studied broadcasting in college. This is what you do. I've been doing this.
And you do it well.
For 30 years.
You haven't been around that long.
I'll be 55 on election day, so I would like to.
I'm right behind you.
Are you?
I'm 50.
You're 50?
Yeah.
You're a baby. But so I've been doing this a long time, and I've watched my industry be decimated because of, technology but consolidation and so much out of that Telecommunications Act. And Rush Limbaugh can be on hundreds of stations around the country and do things like slander an individual private woman and call her a slut, and say that she wants me to pay for her birth control so we get to watch her have sex. I mean, that he gets to do that, and meanwhile Clear Channel has to fire thousands of employees so they can keep paying his obscene salary. There's something really, really wrong with that.
There's something really, really wrong with that, but there's a way.
Yeah?
I'm not even here to tell you I know exactly what it is.
Well, the internet.
But there's a way, and we got to work it.
We're going to talk about a new media model, Oximity, in just a moment.
See, I told you. As soon as I said there was a way, I didn't even know what way. There's a guy. There's a guy right there.
But we'll talk in a minute, because now we have to see if you can help me monetize what I do here.
We got, because we got to get you, doing this all the time, full time, not volunteer.
Well, I do it full time, but I do it listener supported, like public radio.
Sure.
But they have to know to come to my website or watch on YouTube. Hi YouTube. You come in the chat room. But it's a whole new dynamic, a new business model that I need to figure out how to make it work, because we've been kicked off the public airwaves.
Well, I just want to let everybody know that I love your show.
Oh, thank you.
And I think your show is awesome. And people need to plug in, tune in, if they really want to know what's happening. Now, if you don't really want to know what's happening, I don't know, you can listen to Rush Limbaugh. But if you want to know what's going on, you want to know the truth, you want to know what's up, you got to plug in here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You just gave me a new promo for my show.
Yeah, you know it.
Congressman
Use
Keith
it.
Ellison.
Roll with it.
You are awesome.
Okay, well, they can see us do a high five on YouTube.
Yes.
There you go. That was kind of a medium five.
High five. And a hug. Another hug.
Okay. There we go.
And terrorist fist bump. Hold on.
How about?
Come on. Muslim Jew terrorist fist bump.
Right. Oh, my God. We got him on the run now.
Look at that. Oh, my God. Heads are exploding everywhere.
There you go. Take care.
Thank you so much.
All
Congressman Keith Ellison, co-chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. Awesome. Yes. Okay. I see. I got a new promo for the show. I hope his mic wasn't too distorted. I understand we're having a few sound problems, but we'll make it work. All right. We are live at Netroots Nation. Of course, the guy who's going to come over and talk about Oximity, a new media model. Oh, Congressman Ellison, I want to give you swag. If you have, a cell phone, you can put this on the back of your cell phone, carry business cards and things, or you can give it to somebody else. And my card and all that. So you always know how to get a hold of me.
And your base of operation
is it Florida? Help us, please. We're drowning, and we have, Marco Rubio and Rick Scott, and we can talk for hours. Yes, it is. Thank you so much, Congressman Keith Ellison. Sanjay, come on over. Sanjay Goel is the guy. How do you pronounce your last name? Goel.
Yep.
Is the founder of Oximity?
That's right, co-founder.
Co-founder of Oximity. They're at oximity.com, and you can wear it or not wear it. It's up to you. So tell us about, and you have to talk right into the microphone now. Tell us about Oximity.
So we're a new media platform, and we are solving exactly the problem you were discussing with Keith about 5 minutes ago.
Yes.
Which is mainstream propaganda not getting the truth out, and very fragmented independent media.
Right. Okay. So you are basically sort of an aggregator, aren't you?
We're a global news platform where every person who has access to real information, real news, fact-based, can write their information directly on our site without any filters, without any editing, and it goes directly to readers worldwide.
Oh,
so we just cut out the middleman.
Okay,
mainstream media.
So for instance, people can get an account at Oximity
That's
and
right.
post their information. But if there's no filter, how do you filter out, the bullshit?
Noise, yes.
Yes.
So we rely upon our users. We think users are given not enough credit for being smart and being discerning. And we rely upon our users to, first of all, define what is high quality, compelling content, as well as correct misleading information. So if you see an article on Oximity that you think is wrong, you can actually write your version of the story, and that will get attached to the original article. So the reader gets to see all aspects in one place. Yeah.
So for a thing like me, so I guess I could have an area there, and I could post my
That's
shows
exactly
and everything.
right, yes.
But then how do you help me monetize it?
So the first step is to actually market it, because that's a big problem, especially when you have fragmented independent media.
Right.
We don't have economies of scale. So if everybody is spending all this money and effort in building their own little platform and trying to get their own user base, you never get economies of scale, which is really what the mainstream media has. It has a big megaphone, and whatever they say gets heard by possibly billions of people around the world. So we're building that. We're building a megaphone to be able to compete with mainstream media.
Okay.
And once you have economies of scale, then there are many ways to monetize. Just like mainstream media has, well, they have actually very limited ways to monetize. They either advertise or have a paywall. We're an internet company, and new internet companies have many ways to monetize. You can have, for example, a freemium model where you can say, Nicole, that everybody can hear or read or consume part of your content for free.
Right.
But if they want more, every reader has to pay $1 to consume, for example, one piece of content.
Right.
But that only works if you have a critical mass of readers and users, which we are building now.
Well, that's pretty cool. So when did you launch?
So we launched about 9 months ago.
Okay.
And we have right now about 2 million users per month.
Wow.
Worldwide.
Wow.
We have readers from 220 countries, pretty much every country in the world.
So this is interesting because right now we are seeing some global stories, dominate the headlines right now. And honestly, I mean, if I was home today, this is what we would be talking about. We'd be talking about the shooting down of that Malaysian airliner. I've got one of my favorite regular listeners in the chat room is from the Netherlands. The plane originated in Amsterdam, I believe, and
Yes.
it was flying to Kuala Lumpur. So I know a lot of Robert P&L, a lot of his fellow countrymen were on that plane.
That's right.
And what a sickening, stomach-churning event to happen. Then, if that's not enough, a troop, a ground incursion from Israel into Gaza. Seriously, those people aren't hurting enough. And as an American Jew by tradition, it disgusts me. I'm really physically ill over what happened from the bombing of those 4 little boys playing on the beach, the killing of them, to this today. I saw there were pictures, tweeted out last night. While I was sitting watching Reverend Barber speak so inspirationally and beautifully, I'm seeing, crossing my Twitter stream, pictures of bombs going off in Gaza and thinking how despicable that Israel is doing this. And I understand, Gaza's, Hamas is attacking Israel too, but, this is, David going after Goliath there. And just the whole thing is so sick. But what I'm getting to is that because at Oximity, Oximity.
That's right.
Oximity,
and by the
you
way,
have users from around the world giving their
Yeah.
different countries, their different global perspectives on what's happening, not just seeing it through the filter of the U.S. media, which, as we
Correct.
all know, we can't
Absolutely
trust.
correct. So first of all, Oximity, just as a side note, stands for proximity without the PR.
Proximity without the PR. I got it.
Now you got it.
Yeah, I was going to ask. That was my next
Exactly,
question. What
yeah.
does Oximity mean?
So the idea is that the PR machineries of the power structures are extremely powerful, and they dominate the narrative today. So we want to actually bypass the whole PR machineries. And talking about Israel-Palestine, my assessment is that just like the words we use are important. So media calls it a war between Palestine and Israel. It's not a war, because war implies some kind of symmetry.
Right.
This is completely asymmetric. The weaponries and the armaments between the two sides is completely asymmetric.
Right.
But what people also need to realize is that just any war cannot work without propaganda war. Propaganda war, media war goes hand in hand with war on the ground.
Yes.
And the propaganda war in Israel-Palestine is equally asymmetric. That is a very key point. The Israeli propaganda machinery is so much more powerful than the Palestinian ability to get their voices out. So one feeds into the other. The propaganda war feeds into the real war, and the real war feeds into the propaganda war. And Israel is dominating both of them. So there is complete asymmetry. So what we're doing is fixing one of the asymmetries. We cannot fix the asymmetry of war machinery, but we can fix the asymmetry of information and propaganda. It doesn't mean that we're promoting propaganda from Palestine, because there's also propaganda from Palestine. What we're doing is just saying, let's bring the truth out from all sides.
I love it. It's a great idea. Obviously it's been a crazy week from, going from my home base back to Los Angeles for the AFT to here. But I promise you, when I get home, I'm going to check out Oximity, because, that's kind of what we need, an objective news source. In this country, in terms of the mainstream corporate media, that does not exist.
And here's the thing, right? So you very correctly said, those are the two things that also bother me yesterday. The Malaysian airline crash as well as the Gaza invasion.
Yep.
But we're caught up in a media cycle. Right now, those two things are dominating the headlines of mainstream media.
Yes.
What we're not doing, in about a week's time, unless the Gaza invasion gets worse and worse, we're going to forget about both of them. And we're going to move on to the next media cycle, right? Something else will happen. We'll move on to the next media cycle. We don't remember anymore the Malaysian Airlines that was actually lost. We're not talking about that anymore, right? We forgot about it because it got off the media cycle. So media actually dominates the narrative. They decide, today you're going to talk about Gaza and that Malaysian airline shot down. Next week you're going to talk about something else.
Right.
Or, somebody declares that I'm going to run for president in the U.S. That becomes
Elizabeth
a media
Warren.
cycle, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So we're caught up in this media cycle. We're saying we've got to go beyond that. Today, as those two big events are taking place, there are at least 100 events worldwide happening that are actually equally disturbing.
Right.
That we are not hearing about.
That's right.
Because the media concentrates all our attention on some big events.
The top stories.
And they are, more often than not, in this case, of course, these are not distractions, these are very serious issues. But more often than not, they're actually distracting us from going deep into understanding what is the cause of this Malaysian airline crash. Who is the victim here and who's the perpetrator?
Yep.
The perpetrator may be some missile that got fired from the war zone, but that's not the cause. The real cause is much deeper.
Right.
Who's behind all this? Who are the power structures who are pulling the strings to cause these wars? Who's benefiting from these wars?
Right.
The military-industrial establishment, the money they make from war, all these things. That's where we have to go. We have to go much deeper into the causes of these are just symptoms, right? Unless we go to the real cause and have the public talking about the real cause and not just the symptoms, we'll never actually get beyond this media cycle.
Right, exactly. Well, Oximity.com is where you find it. A question from the chat room: How do they plan to set standard for truth? I guess it's all up to the other users
Public
of the
decides.
site.
The public decides. The public decides the narrative. They decide what's important.
If somebody posts a Fox-type propaganda story, you would expect that they're going to be descended on, and people are going to say this is bullshit.
Exactly right. Because we believe that the world in general wants the truth. The world actually is progressive.
Gotcha.
But because of money and power, we are dominated by a few bad elements.
All right.
And they can be taken out of the system.
Exactly. Sanjay Goel, have my swag. It goes on the back of your cell phone. It's a little pocket wallet or whatever. Thank you so much.